7:01. I'm calling the meeting to order. We have a quorum. First up on the agenda, do we have any changes to the agenda? Okay. No changes. Approved without objection. Okay, communication from the public on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone that would like to speak on a non-agenda item tonight? You have 2 minutes. Raise your hand. Nobody online? Okay. That's it. We're going to move on to representative reports. And first up would be Roberto Marin from District 9. Hi, Roberto.
Good evening. Been sorts of meetings all day today. So first and foremost, this is online. It's a budget survey that will all that District 9 residents can fill out. I'll pass it around if you guys want to take a picture. The due date is September 22nd. That's when we will cut off and we'll consider everything. Basically, we really want the public to come out and really show what priorities are needed, right? I grew up in La Mesa. I mentioned this zillions of times, but Streamview needs some help. There's parts of College Avenue needs some help, with that incident that occurred a couple of days ago with that elderly man that got hit on College Avenue. We are aware of that, and we are concerned about pedestrian safety just in general around this area. So this is the best time to fill out your budget priorities. If you want to budget, if you want to do infrastructure, if you want to do more trees, as Bob and Lynn have mentioned to me various times, this is where you can do it. So that's one of the updates I have. The second update that we have going on is we're having an I Love It Clean San Diego. We're having a cleanup. It's going to be on September 23rd. I can send you the link to Lynn so you can. It's over 100 sites throughout San Diego County. I believe one of them is going to be in front of Salvation Army. That is tentative, and you can sign up and register. And then in October 21st, we're also going to have a large cleanup. This is in part with SDG&E, our office, and also with I Love It Clean San Diego. That's going to be in Choice Creek, but that is going to be running all the way up here to Choice Parkway. So I really recommend you guys coming out. The council president will be there. We'll be saying some few words, but also we'll be walking along with us to help us clean up the area and really survey what real needs that area. So those are the quick updates I have. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment about the cleanup this year, because the fall cleanup is sponsored by the California Coastal Commission, and this is the data counting, where they ask you to count cigarette butts and collect data on all the stuff. And this is one I've always had the hardest time getting volunteers to show up to for that very reason. No one wants to count 200 cigarettes. I'm sorry, they just don't.
Yeah. And that's why I'm advertising it so early. It's October 21st, it's a long ways away, but I'm just really every week, I'm just letting folks know, whether it's Choice Creek, Swan Canyon, Woodward Village, Rolando Park. This is a joint effort. So don't think it's just us. I invite everyone to come and help, because ultimately Choice Creek is not our district, it's District 4's as well. And so the more the merrier.
Where is the meeting point for that October 21st?
At Charles Stevens III Park. It's going to be at 9 a.m. to 11. I will send out the flyer so you can disseminate the flyer, and there is registry on there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. Any other questions for Roberto?
I had a question. It was about a cleanup triggered it, and it's really might not even be your jurisdiction, but when I drive up 15 or on 52 or different freeways, I see crews picking stuff up. I don't see it on 94, and 94 has some crash on it. Is there a way that we can get that picked up? It feels like I don't understand the difference and why we can't get it done.
Yeah, so just to refresher, that is Caltrans. That's Caltrans' responsibility. Our district and for near the 94. What we can do is I can talk it over with District 4, and we can maybe coordinate something with Caltrans to pick up that trash. Do you know exactly where it is specifically, or is it just on 94?
I see it all on 94, but I definitely see it between like College and, ramp right after the College roadway. There's two tons of traffic.
Massachusetts.
I mean,
Massachusetts.
No,
no, it's even nearer than Massachusetts. Well, it could be down to Massachusetts and all the way up,
It is.
but there's definitely between College Avenue and then I think it's College Grove Drive or something like that.
Behind
Behind it.
the 24-hour fitness or the Sam's Club, like around.
Yeah,
Okay.
behind all that. And that freeway but the whole 94 is badly littered and I know it's Kaufman, but I just don't understand if they need a push from our council people to get out there. But when you go drive 52 and you drive there, you're looking like two different worlds and it's really disturbing that we don't get ours picked up and they do. I mean, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can connect with Bruce because that's one of the fours in, but we can definitely follow up with that
Yeah.
meeting. Thank you for
Even if
bringing
you
that up.
drive 94, you can definitely, I took a dog to the vet today to Spring Valley, so I noticed it on the drive.
Thanks.
Organizations still adopt highways.
I don't know.
When they do, are they responsible? Do they take responsibility of those?
Yes, I know Sally Small has a section of the 94.
I don't think that those are the ones that are organizing the pickups. It seems like.
Well,
No.
a lot of people are in Orange, so they may be someone that got in trouble or something. But I don't know, I'm just thinking that you still see signs of, that or adopted this part of 94 for a mile.
I don't think that's what it is though, Terry. Like even today after I noticed that, on my way to Mission Valley area, right past where the 805 merges and there's that turn off for Texas Street and stuff. There's a cleanup crew. They've all got their yellow vests on and they're out there cleaning up. And it was just one more enforcement. Yeah, why aren't we getting 94 cleaned up?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
So it was
Okay.
perfect timing with everything you talked about.
Okay,
It's totally good.
hang on just a second. Richard, you had a comment and then Andy.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Lynn. The Caltrans contact that we've been working with, people around the 94 South and just over 94, his name is Nick Buenviaje. And I met him before, he's a real nice guy. I don't know if he's still doing that, but that's the contact that we have for Caltrans for that kind of stuff. And I could check with the folks down in Emerald Hills and see if he's still the contact, and if so, what's his contact information, if that's what you're looking for. And then if there's a new person there, then who's the new person? But we have a contact with Caltrans already about that, and they've been doing some work. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that happens along the in the right of ways, the freeways. We all know that, but we do have a contact there. And once you get a contact in Caltrans, then you can work your way within the system.
Okay. Thanks, Richard. Andy, you had a comment?
Regarding yours. There was a crew on Euclid Avenue in 94, cleanup crew. So they're doing something.
That's good. That's part of it, yeah.
All right, thanks, everyone. Next up is Bruce Williams from the District 4 office.
Right.
Good evening, Bruce.
Good evening, all. Bruce Williams, representing Council President Pro Tem, Monica Montgomery staff. Always good to be with you. Just a few items I wanted to share with you tonight. For the folks in District 4, our FY 24-25 budget priority survey is on the link. Well, it's online now, so I have the link. And Lynn, maybe I can give it to you, or I
Yes,
can pass this around. You guys can take pictures of it. But we need to know what your priorities are for the coming year. So please take advantage of that and go to it, fill it out, and tell us what your budget priorities are. Our last dumpster day of 2023 is upon us. And I just wanted to let y'all know, as many as these that we've had over the years, the last one will take place on October the 7th, and it's going to be in the Paradise Hills area. You haven't been down there in a while. So it's going to be held at the Catalyst Church in Paradise Hills from 9:30 to 11:30, or when the bins are full. And again, that's October the 7th, 9:30 to 11:30. We're always needing volunteers. Lynn, I look at Lynn Edwards, she's always volunteering, God bless her. And for those of you that like to participate, please call our office. Because this is our last one, we'll probably do some special stuff. So please call us and let us know. I want to let folks know about the new Black Arts and Culture banners that have been hung on Imperial Avenue. And the council member just wanted to salute the San Diego Black Arts and Culture District Committee for their work in having these memorial banners installed on Imperial Avenue. Really looks nice between 61st and 69th Street. These beautiful banners remind passersby of what the future will bring for this historic area. Tonight was the last night for the water rate adjustment forum or that they were having. It was taking place, it's taking place right now over in the Pacific Beach Library. So just know that if you missed the one in our area, Valencia Park, you missed the one tonight, obviously you did. You can tune in to the September 19th council meeting and share your thoughts. Couple of more things I wanted to share. We got a message from our Environmental Service Department today indicating that, you know, for those of us that use the Get It Done app, and many of us do, you know, I'm always talking about it. They wanted folks to know about the time frame it takes for them to get to certain items. And I'm just going to read them to you. If we're talking about dead animal removal, ESD wants you to give them 3 business days. Additional replacement of refuse or recycling containers, that's going to take 28 days. Okay. Illegal dumping, you report illegal dumping, 5 days, and lots of those on Street View. Missed collection, they want 5 days, give them 5 days. Please allow 1 or 2 additional business days when there is a planned delay. And then ESD code enforcement, if there's encroaching waste on private property, containers left out, we want 14 days before they come out. Just remember, when we call, when we do a Get It Done, and it's involving ESDs, we need folks to be a little patient because folks are starting to use this tool a lot more, and it's taking time for them to get to some of these things. And finally, I just wanted to, this one came up, the hotspot program reaches a momentous milestone. This is the program where the city comes out and they clean up areas where there may have been some encampments. They don't necessarily go into the encampment, but they clean up after that. It looks like more than 1,000 tons of trash have been removed from city streets as a result of the efforts of the hotspot program. So salute the mayor and his team for making that happen, and our streets are looking a little better. And finally, I promise you this is the last stuff on here, y'all. But that's not 3 minutes, it's gonna get me. Disposing of unwanted mattresses are as easy as 1, 2, 3. Bottom line is they've got a new section over at the city dump at the landfill where they are putting, they're collecting. It's a collecting site for bulky items. Sorry, it's for mattress collection. So over at the east side of the landfill now, you can go and you can take your mattresses. And so we can keep bulky items out. So if you have any more questions, feel free to give us a call. Okay, and
Oh,
that's the-
yeah, I have a question. Could you send me the information about the dumpster day?
yes.
Yeah, I might have a free day, you know, in between the other 10 I'm doing this year. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
Richard's online. He had his hand up first. Richard?
Richard.
Yeah, thank you. Bruce, my recommendation to, I guess it's environmental services that's coordinating the dead animal pickup. We've had dead animals on Streamview Drive for 3 days or more with school kids walking by them. I think that because of that, environmental services should reprioritize their pickup of dead animals in the public right away. If it's on private property, you're off to the side, I don't know, they should pick it up anyway. But for sure in the right of way where people are walking by there every day, that's unacceptable.
We know that there have been get it done reports filed for those dead animals.
What's, yeah, I filed one and it took like 7 days.
7 days.
It's an old one, yeah. Yeah, and I won't describe what it was. Looks even worse than what it was because someone intentionally threw the dead animal there. So it wasn't like it just died. It was intentionally thrown there on Streamview Drive.
Gotcha. We'll share that. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Richard. Laura? Oh, no, she's after you.
What do they do with the mattresses?
That's a good question. I suspect that they can recycle them or send them to a recycle center, or say shred them. Okay, I have to get an answer.
And so we just have to take them in a truck or something? Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be the problem there, though.
Yeah.
People are gonna have a truck to drive up there.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. Oh, there's one more question from Lorna and then Kristen.
Great,
Lorna,
thanks.
you're up.
Thanks, Lynn. I actually have 2 questions. Bruce, is there a charge for that mattress drop off or is it free?
Oh, I'm thinking it's the city, there's gotta be a charge.
Yeah, you think, wouldn't you?
You know what? Let me look that up and I'll have an answer for you before the end of the meeting.
Okay, great. And then my question for you is, I just recently took the survey for D9. The budget survey, is the budget survey the same so that all council districts are working from the same pool of questions, or does each council person have their own set of budget priorities?
That's a good question. Why don't we look at our different ones
Yeah.
and we'll have an answer by the end of the meeting as well.
Yeah.
Good questions tonight.
Thank you,
I
Bruce.
can answer that one, Lorna. The D9 specific survey is for the memo that the council district will prep for D9 specifically. Each council district takes feedback for their priority memos in different ways. I know some do memos, some have community members write letters or submit their requests to the reps and then elevate to the council member.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Kristen's up.
I was just wondering if you could repeat the name of the church for the dumpster day on October 7th, just for note-taking
Yes,
purposes.
I can do that.
Thank you.
It is the Catalyst Church in Paradise Hills, and the address is 6038 Cumberland Street. 6038 Cumberland.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. And Richard, you had one more quick question here.
Yeah, just a comment. Yeah, I'm taking my mattresses over to the Miramar landfill. You drop them off. You go past the household hazardous waste center, the recycling center, and right there they say you drop off your mattresses for free.
For free.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
For free.
great.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thanks, Richard. That's very good. Okay, thank you. Next up is Sam Gonzalez from Dr. Aquila Weber's office. Sam, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. I have 2 updates, very brief updates. The first one is that our office is accepting nominations for, I forgot what we called it. 1 second. I had the title, but every September, the United States celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month. It's also known as Latino Heritage Month, so the name varies, but our office is calling it Latino Heritage Month. So if you have a small business owner or a community member that you think deserves this nomination or recognition, please head to our website. That's a79.asmdc.org. And try to find the button that says Community Recognitions Programs, Latino Heritage Month, and go ahead and submit the fields. The second update is also relevant to our website. This Friday, I believe, is it this Friday? soon this month, we'll go ahead and open up our TOTBAL submission. So that's there ought to be a law form. So if you have an idea for a bill that you want to see at the state level, any ideas, go ahead to our website again. That's a79.asmdc.org and submit your idea. We're accepting those forms from everyone, and we really appreciate the civic engagement. On that note, I also want to take some personal time to recognize Mr. Alex Zukas. I've seen his name a lot on our little log for participation, and me as a constituent, also of Assembly District 79, and as a field rep, really do appreciate that civic engagement. And I just encourage you all to also participate and just communicate with us. We do see the emails, we see the messages, your voices are heard, and that's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. Any questions for Sam? You're off the hook. Thank you. Lucero from the mayor's office. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I apologize for not joining in person. Had a late day at work. But I do have some updates to share with you all. First, I wanted to start off by bringing an item that I know is of interest to this group. Housing Action 2.0 is going to be going to committee, Land Use and Housing Committee, September 21st. So just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of the date. If you want to provide comment or feedback, please make sure that you take note of that date. If anyone is unfamiliar with what the Housing Action Package is, it focuses on environmental justice, college student home and security, single room occupancy homes, tenant protection, parking space flexibility, ADUs for seniors and people with disabilities, and public agency housing development. Again, it'll be going to Land Use and Housing Committee, September 21st. I also wanted to provide an update to this group regarding the unsafe camping ordinance, which I reported a few months ago when we were going through the process of committee and then full council. So as you may know, the unsafe camping ordinance did pass through council and is now a law. It is now in effect, and it is targeting unauthorized tent encampments in certain areas. San Diego Police Department continues to employ the progressive enforcement model, meaning that they do offer shelter and education at the first contact. Unsafe camping ordinance is very specific to areas of public health concern within 2 blocks of K through 12 schools, transportation hubs, long day, waterways, and parks. Thank you. In addition to that, kind of hand in hand, right, in our efforts to ensure that we are addressing and maintaining public health, we are at the same time working to expand our shelter capacity and diversify our shelter options. As you know, not everybody fits into there's no one size fits all for shelter options, because folks have different needs. We want to make sure that we are as low barrier as possible. With that being said, we have expanded to a new shelter that just opened last month in Barrio Logan. This opened, I believe, in August 15th with the old travel, where the old Travel Lodge Motel used to be, is now being utilized with 42 private rooms for families, which can accommodate up to 168 people. Additionally, our Safe Sleeping program, which is at the 20th and B operations yard, has provided shelter for approximately 145 individuals living in tents. This program offers clean tents, cots, meals, and bathrooms, and supportive services for folks that are in transition. Ultimately, the goal is to get them into permanent housing. In the fall, we're looking to do a site near Balboa Park, which will have a bigger capacity of 400 tents. Again, this is in an effort to diversify our shelter portfolio and offer different options for folks, as we are enforcing and saying that sleeping on the street is not an option, but making sure that we are also providing resources to those who do want those resources. And I will open it up for questions. Those were my 2 biggest updates. I know some of the the representatives touched on this, but it is budget season. So please make sure that you are reaching out to your council members with any of your budget priorities, anything that is of interest to the community, your specific neighborhood. As I mentioned, every council office has a different process. I know Council President's Office for District 9 have a survey that you can fill out if you are part of the District 9 council district. But again, I encourage you to reach out to your council representatives with those priorities. And that is my report. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Lucero. Laura?
Lucero, recently, there's been a lot of news about the immigrants in New York City and in LA. And there's been a lot of talk in San Diego now about differentiating just the word homeless, because we keep hearing the number homeless, but we don't really hear a differentiation between homeless that are US citizens versus the immigrants that are coming in. And a lot of people are wondering about that, because there's been reports now from the Department of Finance talking about the impacts of population growth and where it's mainly going to come from. And they talk about immigrants, and seeing all the news and all the funding and all the resources that are going to help the immigrants. A lot of people want some more clarity and transparency as to what we're having here in San Diego. I looked on the website and saw a lot of the services that are offered, but I didn't see any numbers or housing. Is there some place where we can find that?
The numbers on housing for the folks that are in the shelters?
No, for the immigrants specifically that are coming,
Sure.
because, you know, Eric Adams had a really good point about how you get too many people and there's just no way that the population that exists in that city can support all the people coming in. Similar things have been set up in LA, and we're closer to the border than LA. We're surely impacted. So where do we have information on the impacts from the immigration coming through?
Sure. So there's a couple of components to that question / statement. So that we at the city, we do have an Office of Immigrant Affairs that I can connect you to get more specific data. They do work closely with their counterparts at the county. So that would be, that's one option as far as specific data regarding immigrant, any immigrant resources, any immigrant shelters, all of that data specific. I can tell you at the top of my head, I don't have the exact number, but as far as the homeless population in San Diego and the folks that are accessing the services and shelters within the city of San Diego, there is data that is collected when folks access service. So we do take that data, it's self-reported, but at the top of my head, I can tell you the majority of folks that are accessing and that are homeless in the streets of San Diego are native San Diegans. So kind of two parts on that conversation. But again, I can share more information from the Office of Immigrant Affairs and make sure that we get you some stats if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, I saw the county website and it only has refugee figures. It doesn't have just the migrants coming across and you know, numbers in a daily basis who need services and shelter and stuff. So I was more curious about those, and specifically, of course, to San Diego. Absolutely.
And I can tell you that a lot of the folks that come through San Diego, they're ultimately their destination isn't San Diego. It is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, port of entry, and that this is the way that most folks come in. But I can share a little bit about that. I've done some work and I have some background on that. But yeah, as far as data tracking and folks that are seeking, there's different kinds, right? There's folks that are seeking asylum, there are refugees, it just depends, right? It's very complex. But again, that would be the best method to obtain some information and more specific data on that matter.
Well, for instance, recently there have been things and different sources, and I can't even tell you what came from where, but there have been things about people living in apartments in Mission Valley now, some of these new apartments, and that the immigrants are being placed there, and that, you know, they're not just all Latino, we're talking Russian and Chinese and all sorts of immigrants. And it's just interesting to hear these things, and they're just kind of put out there, and then you try and go find background information, and I don't see anything available, so it'd really be helpful.
Yeah, and for us as well, if you're able to send us like where this data or these news are coming from, I think it'll help us better understand how to request and respond to that.
Yeah, some transparency would be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Laura. I have Lorna online and then you, Alita. Lorna?
Thanks, Lynn. Lucero, you may not be able to answer this question. It's just a real quick question about Assembly Bill 2097 that's part of the Housing 2.0 package. It's kind of this weird language that says developers, residential and commercial developers within a half-mile of an existing SDA, you know, public transit stop, have flexibility to build the number of parking spaces they need. What does that language mean?
Sure. I actually have I'm not sure if I've shared this with you all yet. I have an updated fact sheet. Let me see if I can answer. I'm gonna drop it in the chat below. So
I just
You're
can't tell
referring
if it's a pro parking thing or an anti-parking thing.
You know what? Let me clarify that point. I'm gonna send you the fact sheet anyway. It highlights the high points of the housing action package, and it does mention that bill. Let me clarify. It's a little bit vague, so I wouldn't be able to answer that right now.
Okay,
But I'll send that over
thank you.
and I'll follow up.
Could you email that, Lucero? Don't drop it in the chat for me, please.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
I don't think I can either. It's a PDF.
Thank you. Okay. And Alita, you had a question for Lucero?
I will share this information. I have volunteered at different shelters where immigrants or the refugees have been brought into our city. It has been confidential addresses where these refugees are being placed because of the racial activities that happen. We have had, I haven't done it in a couple of years, but when I was volunteering, we had quite a few times that when people did find out where we were at with the refugees, they came in through red paint, and said really horrible, hateful words sprayed in the walls and everything by the supremacist or whatever groups. And those facilities are not made public for those reasons. And that was a couple of years ago when I was working with them, and I have been asked to go back to work on them, with that population. But most of the time it's confidential as to where they are being held because of safety. And safety for us volunteers that work in those areas. And you're right, it's not just the refugees from Latin America. There's refugees from all over the world, you know. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Any other questions for Lucero? Any other questions? Who's got their computer on?
I got mine.
Could you turn it off?
Turn it
please?
off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Lynn,
Before could you wait just 1 second, Lorna? Alex, I just wanted to point out, and Tim, you've been attending. Tim is actually eligible to vote tonight as well, Alex. Tim Davy. Okay, Lorna, you had a question?
Oh, there's a rumor going around, Lucero, and so I wasn't going to bother you with it, but you might know and just be able to put it to rest. I got a dozen texts today from neighbors in El Cerrito that there's some memo going around about the crane coming down from the Family Health Center building, which we don't believe is complete yet because the project has gone broke. Can you talk about that at all? Is there a problem with that project?
Sure. So you caught me a little early. I actually do have a briefing with Path in the next few days. So I don't have much information about the next phase. You're correct. They're still in phase one. I will be able to give an update on the results of that briefing the following week. So I can connect with you. But I don't know about that rumor. But I do have a briefing scheduled with Path.
Okay, so just tell people right now we don't know anything. I mean,
Yeah, it's
I want to
uncertain.
stop the rumor and because people are getting upset.
Right, yeah, and typically this information would be available. If something's happening, it is available. We've been trying to keep, at least I made the commitment to make sure that I'm giving you all the heads up whenever anything's changing. So if you haven't heard from me, I don't have any new information, but I've gotten a couple of inquiries, so I'm checking in with Path to see where we're at and what updates we can share with the community.
Okay, thank you very much, Lucero. Thanks, Lorna. Okay, I believe we're done with the community reports. So we're going to move on to action items. Yay! My favorite part of the night. So I know this says elect treasurer to fill a vacancy, but really someone needs to step up and volunteer. And don't all raise your hands at once. Seriously, there's nothing to it. We've had the same $75 in our bank account for I don't know how long. Thank you, Kristen.
You have to make a report.
She can say the same thing. She can, I think we can get the information from Daryl. It'll be $75.03 and put it in our account.
Where does the money live?
It was at the Union Bank and now because the US Bank took over, so it's at the US Bank. But having not made contact with Daryl, I don't know what the status is, other than we have $75.03 in a bank account somewhere.
I'll volunteer.
Yeah.
Chris,
Oh, you did? Okay.
I missed it.
Yeah, Lynn, who, I'm sorry, it's
I
a
thought
Richard.
I have an
they were
account
asking
at
for
the
volunteers too. How funny.
Yeah.
Hi, Lynn.
yes,
Who else besides Daryl can take or deposit money into the account? There has
I
to be
think
another board
anybody
member,
can anybody can put money into the
but you
account.
can't take it out. Board member,
Right.
any board member.
Right.
So is Daryl the only board member who can take money out?
I'm not even sure Daryl can because somewhere between the transition when Mario became chair after Linda Godoy left,
Oh,
Linda was the last person who had access and no one made it to the bank to do the transfer.
Ooh.
So
okay.
yeah, so now the reason I'd like to get this settled is so that whoever's going to be the treasurer and myself will go and we'll take the minutes that we have that show we were elected chair and treasurer and we'll get signed onto the account. Because there's actually a real possibility that maybe we would have to do a reimbursement or something this year. So yeah.
It's my understanding that if you can get Linda to go with you, it will go so much smoother. Because right now,
Yeah.
I've seen problems like this.
Yeah.
When the person who had the authority didn't help with the transfer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that'll happen. I haven't seen Linda in 2 years.
It was.
It could be any branch at this point. You can go to any US.
Yeah,
bank,
just
I think.
the
But we
old,
got to do the business, probably the one on federal.
always good to know the manager.
Yeah.
Yes.
if anyone
Do you have
knows.
to make a motion to have you and him go to and
No,
do
we
the
just,
cards?
no, we just need to have a treasurer.
that's what it used to be at Union Bank. I don't know if they changed it now.
So,
So we're electing Kristen?
yes,
Or John.
or John.
Coin
First one
flip. Oh, look.
Yeah. Well, you call it in the
Tails.
heads.
There you go.
So that would be
John.
you?
John, it is.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay,
That's one less work you gotta do.
okay. So this will be just till March, because we do 1 year. This is just to finish this
Right.
position out. And then we're going to have elections, board, officer elections in March. But we might talk about that at our terms and conditions meeting about our terms as board officers when we get there next week. So, okay, thank you very much. Do we need to vote on this?
Yeah, we should,
Yeah.
because that'll have to be in the
Yeah, you gotta
minutes.
be in
that
the
our
minutes,
board
yeah.
approved it,
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
and Lolita seconds. Okay, Bob,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Danielle.
Yes.
Alita.
Yes.
Jennifer. John. Sure, you can vote. I don't care. Vote for yourself.
No.
That's for all that,
Kristen?
no.
Yeah.
Laura. Okay, approved. Thank you very much, John.
Flip up the coin.
It's easy enough. Okay. That was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be, so thank you. Okay.
I don't know how long.
Yes, quite some time.
I'm gonna throw my name in.
Okay, action item number 2 is to approve the ethical standards document for our planning group application. We have 3 documents that have to be submitted. Everyone got a copy of it, right?
Mhm.
Did everyone review it? Okay, because we did act out a section, which I wanted to just point out real quick. The standard blah, blah.
Conflicts of interest one.
Yes, about compensation. Most of it is just standard boilerplate, but I want to thank Alex for bringing that up. So we did add a section, EACPC voting members will not receive any compensation to attend meetings, nor will it be part of their job duties. So that's the only, otherwise it's fairly standard. Did anyone have any comments or thoughts about it? Because otherwise we'll just vote to accept it as is so we can move on to the next document.
So we took their boilerplate and added that section.
Yes. And it was a good section. That was very good, Alex, to bring that up. Thank you. So do I have a motion to approve as is?
So moved.
Wait. You guys gotta slow down just a little bit here. Okay, who is first? Andy or Laura?
Andy can be first.
Okay, and you'll be second. All right, roll call vote. Bob,
Yes.
Alex, Andy,
Yes.
Danielle,
Yes.
Alita,
Yes.
Jennifer, John,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Approved as is. Without objection, excuse me. I like that word term. Okay, so the other document that I sent out was the 5-year CIP list that Linda Gavoy did, and that was 2 years old. And I highlighted the projects that I could find in the city's website for all 6 communities, of projects that are actually in the works, or they're at least in the system, because there are a number that aren't. And I guess my question is, it doesn't look like we have a realistic way as a group to submit a CIP list to the city now. And I say this because I talked a little, I contacted Sally Small because I know that she was preparing a list. And then she got stuck on a point where there's no practical way for groups to do it because the perspective from the city is that a group is no more important than an individual. So they would like people to submit it individually. I know I know. I'm going to pull it up. But we do not have a way for the group to submit a CIP list. So therefore, projects that are important to us as a group I'm bringing this up because I think we have to go back to our communities with our CIP list and look at the items that weren't the highest or not in the system now and see what is important and how we can get those priorities to the city in a realistic way.
Part of the problem with the list is that the city has certain criteria, and if our wants don't meet their criteria, then they don't include it in their list. They only include the ones that they have the ability to do and that meet their specific criteria. So sometimes it takes rewording or rethinking on how to get it tackled, and that's a fairly recent change. They used to kind of take our lists and kind of try and put them in and shuffle them through, and then they got to where there weren't ways for the city departments to address the requests because they didn't follow the form that they needed to, or they weren't something the city could take care of directly. So we might have to rethink that in addition to going to our communities.
Yeah.
Figure out what the criteria is.
Well, and also how do we just submit it as a group? Because I don't see that there's any way for us as a group to submit a list.
Would our planner be able to help us with that?
If he responded to email, yeah.
Could you say that really loud so that the council people and the mayor?
If he responded to email, I would, yeah, because I asked him a simple question about changing our name from committee to group. I didn't get a response either, so.
Comment.
Lucero.
Yeah.
Lucero?
Sorry, and I'm just curious, did this group fill out the survey, the CIP survey from the department?
No, because we didn't get one to the group.
So that was available, that still is available online. I kind of wanted to address the comment of basically the point of the survey is another way to collect input, but I don't think the intention was to disregard planning groups. It was more so with the intention of opening it up to additional feedback. But there is, and I'll make sure to insert it in the chat as well to have that link available. And as far as following up with your planner, please let me know. And I can, if you email, you can include me in the email and I can help provide that follow-up if you're not getting a response.
Okay, so my question then, Lucero, would be, we're looking at a list that's 2 years old. It's a 5-year projection. We do, all of our communities have at least one priority project that got is on the CIP list now. We want to go back to our communities and look at other items and update our priorities for our communities. Can we submit that as our group? What I'd like to know is if we go back to our communities and collect that information, can we submit it from the planning group to the city as representative of what we want to submit for our communities? Does that make sense?
Yes, I can clarify from the planning department if they'll accept that directly. My advice, and especially given that, you know, we're just always in budget season, is to continue to share that list of priorities with your council members, because again, that's how we build the budget, is through each elevated priority per council district. So if your priorities remain the same over the last couple of years, or you want to continue to advocate for certain projects, I would encourage you to start there, even if it's a collective of different areas. If it's different council districts, regardless, I would encourage you to start there, and just because again, that's how we build upon it. I'll get clarification from the department if they'll take a list, because I know that they're working with the survey to collect feedback, but I could clarify that for you.
Okay. Well, I think sometimes planning groups, not sometimes, we think of things that are overall important for communities. And individuals can fill out all the surveys they want, and they won't think of things that a community is going to need, like sidewalks, traffic calming. They just know cars go fast. They don't really know that things that we would know as a planning group that are important.
Right.
So,
absolutely. And again, I just want to reiterate the importance of starting with the council offices, because each council office is the one that provides a memo, right? And that's how it starts, to make sure that if it's not getting funded one year, it's continues to be a priority for the community. We keep bringing it up.
Okay.
Right, if I
Okay.
could jump in, Lucero, but remember that CIPs are just one piece of the priorities of the budget. Budget can be all kinds of things. They could be programs. They don't have to be brick and mortar CIPs.
Correct.
What we're
But we do
working on
get
is just a
funding for
section of-
CIPs.
Sure.
Mhm.
We're working on is not a budget priority. It's just the priorities of the CIPs of 6 different communities
Mhm.
that we represent. So don't start blurring the lines between budget priorities and CIP.
No, and by no means am I trying. I'm just, again, saying that is a way to continue to advocate for that.
Okay,
And I do see a comment. I'll drop the link in the chat.
okay. And Laura?
Well, since the survey's up and Lucero's recommending we submit a survey from Eastern area, should we as a group kind of let you know what's still important in our communities and get something in before the deadline on the 21st?
Yeah, I was thinking by the end of the year, but yeah.
That's a whole different list.
But that's a budget
That's a budget
priorities,
list.
yeah.
Oh, I see
We're
what you're
talking
saying, Danielle.
Yeah.
VIP, yeah.
So yeah, Danielle's clarification does make sense.
Blur the line.
Sarah, how do you recommend we do specifically CIP? Because that survey, like Danielle was saying, is like for everything in the budget.
Lorna's.
Sorry, no, the CIP, that was a specific CIP survey. What I was saying is, with the council offices, you can always submit your priorities, whatever it may be for the community, and that could include CIP funding. But the survey that I was referring to, it was for CIP priorities. So I'm just trying to drop it in the chat if you give me 1 second.
We
Okay,
do need that.
So is that different than this one?
that's a
Yeah,
budget
that's a budget
survey.
survey.
We're talking about our CIP list, so.
We'll see when we get it,
The budget one is Friday, the 22nd.
right?
I've been told the CIP is all year long.
That's,
That's what Lynn just said. By the
Yeah.
end of the
Yeah.
year.
but,
Yeah, so that's
so
makes more
I
sense.
thought that would give us time where we could go back to our
Mhm.
Yeah.
communities
Mhm.
and then bring it back in November. And we'll get it submitted because hopefully we're gonna be adjourned in December. But we'll see that if we can submit it, that's what we would want to do by the end of the year from our group for our communities. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so you should take your list. It's divided. I grouped it all together for each community. And I have to say, I was surprised to see a number of projects actually are in there that were high priorities for us 2 years ago. So we just need to look at what was second and third on the list, or what might be a priority now that wasn't a priority 2 years ago. And this gives us 2.5 months to go back to our communities and then come back, and it'll be an action item in November for us to have a list that we can submit. Is that okay?
Mhm.
All right. So it's not really an action item. It's sort of like consensus that we'll have an action item in November to address a list.
But in the meantime, each
Each-
community has to make some action.
Each community, has to take some action. And, Jennifer will do that at our joint meetings in November. All right, that's the end of that. Very good, thank you. It's not quite 8 o'clock yet, Alex, so we'll move on to the non-existent treasurer's report. And say we're not having a treasurer's report. How about if we do approval of the minutes and then we can do the election results? Did everyone review the minutes for July? That would be Bob. Mhm. Any corrections for July?
Move approval for bonds minutes.
Approved as is, second?
I do.
I can second the minutes.
Andy, second. All right,
There a motion?
Already had one.
Danielle made a motion, Andy seconded. Roll call vote. Bob,
Yes.
Alex, Andy,
Yes.
Danielle,
Yes.
Alita,
Yes.
Jennifer, John, Kristen,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yes.
Hey, approved as is, approved without objection. Okay, August, those are Danielle's minutes. Any questions, comments, changes for August?
Make a motion that we accept the message.
Second, Alex, thank you. Right, August minutes approved as is the motion. Bob,
Yes.
Alex, Andy.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Oh, okay, very good. Danielle,
Yes.
Alita, Jennifer, John, Kristen,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yes.
Okay, approved without objection. Thank you. Takes care of all of our minutes. Have 4 minutes to go before we get to subcommittee reports. Yeah, ooh, I know, I'm so excited.
It's like a little countdown.
So before we do our updates, I just wanted to give a quick update on the meeting that we had on August 21st here. That was with groundwork and city engineering about the Streamview Phase 2 project. And so I want to thank Kristen, Richard, and Jennifer for being here. We had a good turnout. I think we had about 35 people here in person. We only had one person online because we did ask everyone to show up in person. And it was pretty effective. They actually had the engineer from the contracting company who's doing the design came, and he had an update. Everybody listened, we hope. Yeah, and they'll be back sometime this fall with another revised concept that with community input. I think the one thing that we all asked for were more trees. It does look that that's going to be restricted because of the undergrounding that's already been done. So they did say they can't give us as many trees as we would like. There will be trees in the design. There's lots of landscaping, but there aren't going to be as many trees as we would like to see.
Can they give trees to people in the neighborhood to plant in their front yard or something?
Well, that's actually my suggestion. He said when they polled people initially, no one wanted to water them, and several people in the audience said, I would water trees.
So maybe that was an old survey?
I think so, but again, this strikes me as something that could be a community initiative where our communities can work and go out. And if you drive down Streamview, I think on both sides, you'll see bare spots where people do not have trees in their front yard. So those would be maybe the first people that our communities could target and make them aware that there are trees available for free from both SDG&E and the city, and target those people first and see if we can fill in the bare spots.
And let them know that as far as real estate value goes, trees in the front yard have more value than homes with trees that don't have a tree in the or
Yeah.
homes that don't have a tree in the front.
Yeah.
I know. You might not want to say that to some people because that means their rent will go.
Well, I was thinking about when somebody wants to sell.
Yeah.
Or get a loan.
But
So, 2 questions, please, Lynn.
Sure,
So
before you
said
sell
that
it.
they're gonna come back in the fall. Are they coming to eastern area?
yes, they are.
Okay, and so they will have plans for us to look at them.
Yes, they'll have a final.
When they're talking about trees, are you just talking about the parkways, or are you also talking about the traffic calming?
I believe they have trees planned for the 5 new roundabouts.
New roundabouts? So are they talking about any kind of maintenance assessment district?
No,
Who is going to maintain the
the
trees?
city's agreeing to water them for 5 years.
Well,
So hopefully that they are planting native trees
Okay.
that will not
Good
need
deal.
to be watered by anyone in 5 years. They probably don't need to be watered after 2 years, but they're going to water them. That's good. I think the one thing that's not clear to me is the existing roundabouts, which have stamped concrete. I don't think,
Cutouts, yeah.
yeah, that we should do that as a potential project to get trees and landscaping around those two
The city
roundabouts.
didn't agree to put any landscaping in the first place. We're probably not gonna change their mind and say, oh, sure, we'll water them, if you do cutouts and add trees to them. So how many roundabouts are we talking about with trees along? Almost a lot.
5,
How many are
How many
done?
stamped concrete
2,
ones?
there's two, so that'll be a
Standard
total of
concrete
7.
And we were told
Good luck.
by the
Yeah.
engineers a while back that they couldn't put anything in those because they were so small. The roundabouts were so small that they didn't allow them to be anything other than what they are, which is a launch ramp sometime.
Yeah.
We had- we
Can
had-
the community like get together and put planters in and do something to that effect?
Some of the roundabouts along, for the bicycle lanes along along Mead, they have Bronxville and people have been adding stuff to it.
That's what I mean.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's some in North Park that have big boulders in them, which I always thought was the best idea.
Especially for the house.
Stop a car for sure.
So maybe we can just cover up the stamped concrete with some boulders.
Yeah,
big boulders.
Yeah.
Well, they certainly didn't have any plans for phase 1, and that's something that we brought up.
Yeah.
After seeing their beautiful plans for phase 2, we said, well, what are you gonna do with phase 1? You can't leave it.
So that brings up something else that I was thinking about too, and that's that maybe as a planning group, we should write a letter that asks, makes the city aware that we're aware that projects like this need to be thought through all the way, especially with the climate action plan, and planting trees should be part of the thinking process and planning process for every improvement they're doing now. Think ahead. Can we add trees here?
And then list all the benefits of those trees,
Yep.
keeping the water table up, cool, warmth, things like.
So I can put that as an item for next month, but I think we should draft a letter.
request.
And I think also Oak Park and Redwood Village, once we draft a letter from from our group, community should draft a letter as well. And I think Groundwork would also maybe draft a letter.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do we know if they're coming in October or November?
We don't know yet. We just said this fall. So,
We might have to have a special meeting in December.
no, we're not. We are not. I'm sorry. We are just not. We are adjourned.
With a holiday tree and some egg.
Well, it's 8:02, so the moment that we've all been waiting for. Bob,
Yeah.
you're going to help
All right,
Alex
yes,
count.
I am.
So we haven't received it yet.
Yeah.
Back
Oh,
there.
Oh,
okay.
back there in the
Yeah,
corner.
you stand and use the bar. We're doing that.
Mhm.
Should be real quick.
Yep.
Yeah. A lottery. One out of them.
So give them a couple minutes.
So, next.
Yes,
So when the folks come back next time around, if they have suggestions for improving phase 1, or just phase 2?
just phase 2 was that your? Yeah,
I mean, we said, no, you need to do something with phase 1, so I would assume that. No.
But they were the
They're
different, they were
not,
different
right.
engineers.
Correct.
Yeah,
Because they
They're
were
not
mentioning
gonna
what
do
we had.
anything with phase 1.
You're not gonna admit they screwed that.
no. The fact that they're not affected
They're only
roundabout.
showing plans for phase 2.
So in their minds, phase 1 is.
Yes.
Which means
It would
we,
need to
as
go
a,
on a CIP
yeah,
futuristically.
There
as
you
a
go.
group,
That's
we,
a great plan.
yeah. So I think will be a priority
Priorities for
CIP
Redwood
project that we will
Village.
submit at the end of the year, yeah. Is to go back and fix those 2 roundabouts.
And Oak Park, because they both can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
advantage of it, yeah.
We'll make it a high priority for both
Mhm.
communities.
You're lucky you don't have to do a maintenance assessment district.
Yeah.
No,
Because way back in the day when we did it 30 years ago, they put a flat thing, looked like a UFO landed in the middle and 5 streets came into it. People were driving over it and everything. We had to make a maintenance assessment district for, 1,000 homes in town. That's just so we could get planters and a tree.
Mhm.
Now we have diverter
It's really nice.
islands. and
That's the
everything.
nicest one
Beautiful.
in San Diego. It's
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
The
but
only
Spring
green
View
space
has
walking
some of these.
But yeah, it was a big chore to do a maintenance assessment district.
They said they recognize that there's no way they do that.
Too many
Yeah,
renters.
not in our neighborhood.
No.
Yeah, it's too many,
Yeah.
probably too many absentee landlords to go.
I don't think any of the roundabouts have any landscaping.
Drum roll, Maestro.
Okay, so how do you want the results?
You can just go down the list on the ballot.
Well, it was unanimous,
For each of the candidates.
Oh.
there were 12 vote casts and.
Yes.
And, everyone got, there were no vote. put it that way.
No votes. Okay.
Wait.
All right.
No blank, yeah.
Yeah, no blanks.
And no spoiled ballots and no hanging.
Good job.
And we could read all the X's.
Always vote for yourself, John. Okay, so thanks very much.
That's right.
Are serving a 2-year term, so thank you, everyone.
Congratulations,
And thank
everyone.
you very much, Alex, for taking care of this.
I have a question. Are we serving 2-year terms or are we only serving till March?
We're serving, what is it, September, about 1.5 years. We're gonna serve till March of 25.
Oh,
And then,
we'll be back on.
next June, we'll have an election from June until 21 months later. So then everybody's back on the March calendar for elections. As we sort of got off during the pandemic. It just kept getting pushed out. So that'll put us back on schedule for everything. Thank you very much. Community updates. We start with Oak Park tonight. Richard or Alita?
He's doing a lot of other things.
Oh, how about you? Do you have any?
I can share.
Okay.
I'm specifically working on the new Port Library project. And we're going through some really exciting times right now. We're working on finalizing the RFP. So hopefully by next week, we will have some type of final results. And hopefully by the end of the month, that the RFP will be going out. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking me if the current Oak Park Library will disappear when the new one gets built, or if they're going to use the one for certain community purposes, as well as keeping the big one that we're doing.
Presently, depends on the Oak Park Library. We have no knowledge of what's gonna happen to that building.
Okay.
It belongs to the city. And the city will utilize it according to what they would like to do.
Could we build affordable housing there?
Expand the fire
Also,
station.
some of you have received a communication from me. After the RFP is completed for the library, we have the observatory wish that will be eventually one of our other projects. Unless I can raise $15 million, then the observatory will be added as soon as the library is completed. The enthusiasm as far as us having the observatory is really great. And I have asked about 54 community-based organizations throughout the county, because I happen to have relationships with a lot of different people. And asked them if I can have their name as an endorsement, not as a, can you give me money? Just a supporter of our project, of the observatory project only, because we have the funds for the library, but not for the observatory. And we're not asking the city for the money for that project either. If in fact we don't get the money for it, then guess what? It's gonna be placed on the CIP.
Okay.
And that, we do not wanna go there, because we don't wanna wait another 30 years for an observatory, which our children in the 4th district, we have the lowest test scores in San Diego, Unified. And we are also I just found out a couple of days ago that the highest number of pre-K and K students have the highest report on absences, school absences, and I was shocked about that. Oh my God, really. I mean, and these are the little ones. So my whole goal and the friends, when we put the observatory on the wish list, we were looking at having an alternative, a positive, unique alternative place for our children of all communities, not only the surrounding communities, because the surrounding communities are all of us here.
Yeah.
Okay, and the schools will all benefit. The University, San Diego State is very interested in working with us from the science and astronomy department. So they will be bringing the programs and NASA as well. I sent a link with the Rancho Mirage and Observatory library, and it's very, very unique. I also found out in my research that East Lake High School has an observatory, and Claremont High School has an observatory. So I believe that the library system now is looking at not only us in San Diego, but in other areas in California, that they're looking or interested in now having observatories too. So before anybody else gets into it, we want to make sure that we get ours. So I ask for your support. A letter would be great. Steve has already supported us, and he will be providing a letter. And we have Urban Collaborative as well. And I need to make phone calls now, and I'm waiting for Neighborhood House Organization, our Urban League, NAACP. Chicano Federation also called me today, and I haven't called them back. So the momentum is really positive, and we will probably have, according to a letter from Misty today, we may be having a company that actually constructs observatories, and that constructed the observatory for Rancho Mirage Library come to our or do a Zoom, participate in our next meeting, which will be the 28th of September. And I'm just waiting for confirmation for that company to give us an idea as to what the process is all about. So it's, I asked for that from this, from the Eastern Group. If you can provide us with a letter of support, I'm not asking you for any money, but that would help us out.
$75.
All $75.
And 3 cents, don't forget the 3 cents. Yeah, I think we could put that as an action item for next month. We could approve a letter of support for, okay?
Thank you all, and it's for all of us, you know. I'm doing my part. I had a dear friend that from Texas that passed yesterday, and her brother passed today. And we grew up and we went to school together. So for me, it's like, hey, I'll stay here until the Lord tells me it's time to go. So I really want to leave our communities a unique observatory for everyone to have the opportunity to learn something like I have learned. You know, it's amazing. And since I'm also Native American, and I have my relationships with the different tribes here. I have 4 people that have continued to do the storytelling about the all the indigenous peoples of the world, how they lived by the stars and the moon and all that. So I have those 4 people from our communities that are willing to give those stories once we have the observatory as well.
A question, Alita.
Yes.
You said you had a lot of connections. Have you connected with the Air and Space Museum in Balboa Park or the Fleet Science Center?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And the Astronomy Association for San Diego.
Okay.
I mean, I'm finding out a lot of things that I never knew about besides the Space Fleet Theater.
Trying to cover all the bases.
Andy?
The NASA connection, that's a very exciting.
Andy?
What is the scheduling of the tour of the?
Oh, thank you. You see, I mean, Andy, Andy's been with us in the library like 49, 50 years, right? Me and Andy and a few others. We're having a site tour on September 21st at 3:00 at Choya's Park. And it's just to do the site visit, because a lot of people don't know where it's gonna be built. And I'm talking about the library. Okay, so that's open to the public. We have seen a lot of invitations. I sent it to all of you. Did you get it then?
I think I did, yeah. So I'll email it out to everybody tonight.
That's it.
Yeah, when is it?
Is it 3:00?
The 21st.
Oh,
Thursday.
21st.
At 3 p.m. And we'll have a sign person letting everybody know to come in through the the entrance is right across the city maintenance area.
Oh, the Choya service yard. Okay,
Yep.
Up
Alright.
center.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then you go down to where the comfort station area is. And we'll have a table there with information, and then we will guide you over there. Ranger Carey's gonna be there, Misty Jones is gonna be there. The engineers are gonna be there as well to discuss what the process is all about.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I really would appreciate everybody showing up, because a lot of us don't know where it is, because the first time only certain people were invited.
What time is it?
Three.
Three, yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thanks, Alita. Kristen, did you have a question or?
Yeah, I was just wondering, in addition to the observatory, have you thought about, or maybe you already have, adding like a planetarium? Because it would be great if students could utilize it during the day. It seems like an observatory would be more of a nighttime activity. So for students from the surrounding schools to be able to use it, it might be neat to have like a planetarium show as well.
What is happening with the observatory is that it will be utilized not only at night, but throughout the day as well, because a lot of the children, and I'm basing it as to what has been occurring in Rancho Nogla. That's how I'm basing it, because it's not to do any research or anything like that, but it's called public outreach. And throughout the day, the children can come in and get all types of tours and programs and talk about planetariums and whatever it is that programs that we have that San Diego State can provide us in NASA programs. That's a part of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Moving on, Webster, Kristen, did you have any? Yes, okay.
I had it on my phone here. So there is going to be a GDP for Sunshine Berardini Field.
Only announced.
I'm sorry, did I see? And do you want to tell us a little bit more about it? It's at the Kalina Rec Center.
Okay, Kalina Rec Center next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, September 20th, 6:30 p.m. We're asking for input. But there's already been a GDP approved by the Choice Rec Council 10 years. So I have to figure out the history and what happened to it and why we're doing a new one.
Perfect.
Yeah, that.
Because it's 10 years old.
And
Oh, well,
then
it's probably the cost of all increased so much.
Saturday, September 23rd, not to interfere with any of the I Love a Clean San Diego cleanups, but there is going to be a community walk through the Choyas Creek Watershed Regional Park. So if anybody would like to come join us, I have an invitation that I can send. It starts at 10 a.m. At the South Crest Recreation Center. And we're going to be walking along. You can give your input on what you would like to see in the regional park there.
Where are we meeting at 10 a.m.?
Let me pull that back up.
There's 3 locations, right?
Yeah,
different
so if
times.
you want to join from 10 to 11, it's at South Crest Recreation Center, 4149 Newton Avenue. If you're going to join us from 12 to 1, it's at Castana Street and 47th. And from 2 to 3 will be at Choya's Parkway and Salta Place.
Salida,
Salida, thank you.
is it Salida?
No,
S-
Salta.
Oh, SALTA, what it says.
And the only reason I know that's correct is because I saw that street on the list of city streets that are being re-slurried this week.
Oh.
So I
So
sort of
3
stuck in my head.
different points to dip in, or you can join us for the whole shebang.
Could you send that to Lynn? And then
Yeah.
Lynn,
I'll
can you
send it
it
out,
on to
yeah.
us?
Absolutely.
Saturday, 23rd.
Saturday, the 23rd, yes.
23rd, yeah. Cool. Thanks, Kristen.
Mhm.
El Cerrito.
Oh, El Cerrito, let's see, last month we had a community night, rather than a typical, community meeting. We met at the Alcove Restaurant, which is next to Scrimshaw, Cafe, north side of El Cajon Boulevard. The turnout wasn't really heavy, but what was interesting is that the people who did come are people who never came to community meetings. So it wasn't the usual suspect. Sort of new people, and so we got to know some of the neighbors that we'd never seen before, and able to express some interest in becoming more active in the community council, so that was good. And then I'm not sure, Laura, do we have a topic for the next meeting? Is that worked out yet?
We're gonna try and get the principals from the schools to come to our next
The high school
meeting.
and middle school that,
And we're also gonna try and get in-person meetings again, start our in-person. So far, we've still been Zoom. So yeah, we're gonna try and get the junior high and high school, because they're right there. The junior high is right there on 54th, and just a block, not even a block, a few feet from El Cajon Boulevard, Middle School. And then Crawford High School is right smack dab in the middle of this El Cerrito part, the southern part of the El Cerrito.
South side.
Okay. Great.
Want to hear from them. They've got a new principals at both locations.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Well, interim in one.
Yeah.
I haven't selected.
Okay, thank you. Bob, anything from Rolanda?
Can I just add something real quick to that? One of the things that we're facing with the school, and I don't know if any of you guys are, but there's a new bell system in place at Crawford. And it is, we can hear the bells and the announcements for 3 blocks around the school, literally. And we've been told that it's been set, it's a audio level set by the school board or the school district. And so our
Yes.
principals can't change it.
Yes, that's true. We just had the same thing at our elementary school a couple of weeks ago. And I got about 6 angry emails asking it. The principal was very apologetic.
Have a voice, like a woman's voice going.
No, but
My office is right next to a brand new school, and it always sounds like somebody's talking to me.
no, this is,
It's this huge.
it's pretty loud.
I wish. Yeah. I wish it were that. I wish it were
Now I know why I can hear all the Hoover High outdoor activities, miles away.
Yeah, really.
I know, it's amazing,
Yeah.
huh?
Rolando, Bob.
Yeah, the RCC will be resuming their monthly meetings next Tuesday, September 19th at 6:30 at the UAW Meeting Hall on Seminole Drive. It used to be the Old Methodist Church. And the guest speaker is the winner of the County Supervisory District 4 special election. So I believe that's Monica Montgomery Stepp. So-
Well, she won the primary. I thought Amy Reichardt's going to be there.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Oops,
Doug,
sorry.
Doug sent me an email.
Oh,
and asked
okay.
me, so if you didn't announce it, I was gonna.
Oh,
announce it
good,
as
okay.
well.
It's like, what?
Oops.
I'll put it in an email. Yeah.
Bruce is counting tabs already.
Yeah.
That's it. Jennifer, John, Redwood Village.
There's not a whole lot going on in Redwood Village other than the Streamview stuff that's happening. So we're really excited about that. And we're also excited about the possibility of the Choice Parkway Park. One thing about that is, and it's from a couple different people, is once the Choice Parkway is removed, that there is a potential for like shortcutting through Redwood Village, particularly Streamview to 55th, to Dwight Street to 58th Street, and then coming down to 58th Street, which I don't know, you know, I mean, the park is a really nice thing. Not sure how much traffic it's going to mean, but there are some people who are worried about that a little bit.
Well, the good thing is the park construction will start about the same time that Streamview Drive construction will start. And so
No
for
one
about
will
3
use one.
years, no one's going to be speeding on Streamview
Right,
at
yeah.
all. That's just going to be a
Maybe
construction
they'll
nightmare for
do
3
what we
years.
want, which is to drive up to University and make a right on University.
Yeah, because I think the email that I sent around earlier is that the city is not going to extend Leah. As part of that.
Add to your CIP list.
Well, they wanted a developer to do it when they do redevelopment there.
Yeah.
So
Right, it's eventually gonna get done.
it will eventually get done. I think the city's just not planning on doing it.
The city doesn't wanna do it.
They don't want to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was always kind of intended that it would be part of the way that the area developed, so yeah. I can
Yeah.
see- Yeah. But historically, that's a cut through. Remember, we had to do those streets one way and one house kept getting cars going through it and
Yeah.
and we put up stop signs. I mean,
Yeah.
just in the, before many years ago, so. And knowing what goes through El Cerrito, I mean, we are such a cut through area, it's not even funny.
Oh, I don't know. You're not on the Aragon Expressways.
We're darn close, believe me. Yeah, the other day, this lady just flew through a stop sign and this other couple and I were sitting there, we were both getting ready to move and she just blew right there and she had a kid in her car.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, and the only other thing is that construction continues on the Darnall Charter School.
The modernization.
Yeah, it's a pretty big project. I think in the end, there's going to be like 600 students there, which I think the school was originally designed for like 300. So it's going to double the area. And a while back, they said they were going to try to do some traffic mitigation around the neighborhood, but I don't know, as it stands right now, it's definitely a problem at twice during the day.
We had the same issues at Rolando Park Elementary as
Yeah.
we did last night, I think. There's a lot of red curb parking.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit last night, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're, a little bit of anxiety around, directly around the school. Because it's, it got, years ago when they were kind of proposing the whole thing, they got a lot of, oh yeah, don't worry about it, we got it. And but that seems to have kind of, we can't even, we no longer are able to get the administration of the school to answer an email.
Yeah.
Not your school supervisor.
Yeah. Okay.
To speak a little bit to that unrelated thing, but I have been in contact with the school district about a separate thing, but we can talk about it offline to see what we can do.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right, that's it for us.
So I'm just going to close out Rolando Park by saying we had our first meeting last night with Redwood Village for the fall season. And we're doing hybrid meetings again. So we actually had a decent in-person turnout. We had 13 people there and we had 22 people online. So for us, that's pretty spectacular.
That's good.
Yeah. Rolando Park Elementary actually has a new principal this year. So she came and stayed.
That was pretty cool that she came
Yeah.
and introduced herself.
I asked her to come specifically because we like to have a good relationship with the school. And we had a long conversation about Xena Canyon. It's got a lot of homeless encampments. but that property belongs to the school district.
Mhm.
So we are looking at how to mitigate the homeless encampments. And the first thought was, well, let's just make the school district, we'll just find them or get someone to find them or do something about it. But we're looking at a positive solution, and they're interested in it because I had a meeting with the real estate office a couple of weeks ago, in which they would try and find an agreement, like a joint use agreement with the canyon, to have the city make it an open space area.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
the school district would own it, but the open space would manage it, which means we could have rangers there, we could have get it dones, and then look at restoring it to its natural habitat because it's been over.
Would
I know.
that be precedent setting where a school district has open space joint use?
I'm waiting for the paperwork to come from the real estate office because we asked. They just did an agreement with Taft Middle School in Ruffin Canyon.
Oh, I was just there. They did a beautiful addition to their back of their area.
Right. So
joint
once we
use,
see
yeah.
that, then we know that we
Okay,
have a
so you
direction to move with
You
Xena
have
Canyon.
a precedent already and you can model. it on
Right,
that.
but Carrie
Good.
just reminded me tonight, there's actually water from the Choyas Creek in the bottom of Xena Canyon too, so we're gonna try and leverage our Choyas Creek.
Well, that's kind of helps because
Yeah.
one of the things about getting the homeless not to be able to have encampments is waterways.
Mhm.
Well,
Waterways is up there.
First of all, they're not supposed to be on school property, and secondly, they're supposed to be 2 blocks
that's
away
true.
from school property.
and yeah,
Yeah.
they're literally 50 feet
Yeah.
from the fence
There's
at the
one more
school, yeah.
point in the waterways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black Pouch and Ruffin Canyon.
Yeah,
So you guys can.
so we have a model
it.
we can use,
Yes.
exactly, so, anyway. University Avenue tree canopy, Bob.
Now we have a meeting tomorrow with
Roberto.
Roberto, 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm,
John.
4:30.
4:30.
Yeah.
It's a Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zoom. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 No, it's in my house.
We'll be right over.
Doesn't qualify.
Okay. Parks and Recreation,
Okay,
Danielle.
so, since, the announcement about the GDP for Sunshine, is next Wednesday, Clean 30, with other topics on the agenda. My question is, how did the movie nights go for the summer?
Fantastic.
Very good.
How many did you have at?
We had about 230.
Wow.
And I will say it had a few issues, because, first of all, the movie crew was an hour late showing up. And then, Lacey went to her second job that night and took the DVD for the movie in her car.
Oh, okay, so. It's a late start.
It's a very late start. It's just, well, I mean, fortunately, she has a staff that's smart thinking and somebody looked up the nearest Target that actually had the movie and ran out. And the kids were busy playing on the equipment that they
say,
brought.
they
They had
probably had-
jumpers. They didn't even care.
They probably have fun playing in the dark.
But
Oh,
our
yeah.
lights turn out in the parking lot at 10 o'clock. So we had cars in the parking lot with our headlights on to get people.
Yeah.
230 sounds fun. Too
Yeah.
bad you couldn't make a campfire with some s'mores,
Looks like a success to me.
Yeah, it was great, really.
How
They,
about, how about over at
yeah.
Clay?
I didn't
Did
attend.
anybody
Yeah, I was
go
out
to
of
the one
town.
at Clay? Nobody, okay.
I
so
think
we'll
they
have to
had a
ask-
bigger.
Yeah, I
attendance.
think they had a good turnout though.
Okay.
Big attendance, but
Good.
Lacey brought, center director from Colina brought staff and they had games set up for the kids. They brought jumpers.
Yeah. but I
Our
thought-
PTA provided a face painter. So, and they had music going nonstop. The kids just, they could have cared less about the movie. Most of the younger kids
No, they were out running
left
around
by
dark in the
8:30
park.
anyway. But they
Yeah.
got their faces painted and jumped up and down and had a great time. It
Wonderful.
was
Okay.
cool.
Okey doke, so that sounds good. Other than that, my only update for Little League is we have 7 teams for fall ball, which is almost as many teams as we had last spring.
Wow.
So we're starting to grow and more younger children are coming. So that's good news. Little League is on the upswing.
Okay.
Stop by and see some games. They're on Sundays. The fall ball at the fields, yeah. And we had like 7 games in a row. $1,000 at the snack bar just last Saturday. So yay. Don't know what the grocery bill was, but it was so hot. And we had to run out and get more cold drinks and the machine ran out and but it was a good start too. Fall ball season So. Game's on, come on by and check it out on Sundays. The Little League, that's all I have, really.
Great.
Can't think of anything else.
Thanks, Danielle. We don't have anything on transportation, but I'd like us to think about maybe eliminating the bike lanes topic on this, and maybe should have a conversation about transit and maybe traffic calming, traffic mitigation in communities, because I know that's a bigger issue than just one community. All 6 communities here, every older community has an issue with traffic right now. So maybe we could think about changing our focus to things like ensuring that we get transit where we need it on the major corridors, and also ensuring that our voices get heard with the city about traffic and traffic engineering, about traffic calming in our neighborhoods, because I think we all have issues right now. So
follow up on Streamview with that subcommittee.
Yes.
That would be a good subcommittee.
Okay.
For the Streamview issue.
So we'll see if we can move that one along. Ad hoc committee for our planning group application. We just did the ethical standards. Our next document is terms and conditions. And there's some things I think we'll bring that to the next meeting for approval. But I think we have to remember that we wanted to address the issue about someone having Daryl where we need to replace someone on the board. And also, do we want to continue with 1-year terms? A lot of other groups have 2-year terms, and I think there's another group that has like 6 or 7-year terms. So I mean, we want to stay with 2-year terms, but for our board officers, maybe we should think about, do we want to have 1-year terms? Or maybe make those 2-year terms so we're not doing an election process every year. Something to think about. That's all I have on that. Laura, the August CPC meeting.
Yeah, we had a couple main topics. One of them was all these documents that you're talking about. And Marlon said that the documents came from a group who really used more of a format for agreements than actual bylaws. So he said that he thinks that we're going to end up with a whole new template for bylaws, which is pretty much the terms and conditions document.
Right.
Because the terms and conditions document he's correct, that's something that you have in an agreement. And bylaws for a group are very different than that.
Right.
And even though there's some overlap, it's very awkward the way it's structured, and then all these additional documents. He said he thinks the planning department was going to work on bylaws that would incorporate everything that it's the separate documents, incorporate them all in. One other group was talking about how they felt like their current bylaws could just be used as a template, and then sections added in that would maybe meet the requirements of the other documents, but don't throw out our original bylaws, just kind of add sections to them. And then one man gave us a template for bylaws. I think they're going to send it to us in Word and get it out to us so that we can have you guys look at it. It's very thorough. I think he's an attorney, and it was a very thorough document for bylaws. I think it was kind of over the top for what we do. But you don't have to include all of it. You know, you can pick and choose. And so we'll see what they come up with. The city would prefer that we sort of stay with their templates because it's easier for them to review, and they need to review whatever we do and tell us if we need to change things or not. So I think if we're going to see something, it will be soon, like this month.
It has
because
to,
people
yeah.
are working on these things.
I plan on attending the next meeting just for this reason, because I think they're sort of dragging their feet, and that we have a December 31st deadline.
And a lot of us want to take December off.
Yeah.
You're not the only one. A lot of groups do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, that's what they said about that. And then that we're also have a group that's working as, an ad hoc committee to review the city's blueprint, because the blueprint is really the city's general plan. They've called it a blueprint for many, many years, but they have called it the general plan as far as the document was concerned. Now they're calling it a blueprint, and they've gone through and they're updating the general plan, but their goals and the new emphasis on equity don't seem to match a lot of the changes that they've made in the blueprint. So an ad hoc group of us are looking at it and trying to make it match more, one, like we think it should be, two, to have more of the equity emphasis throughout the whole city. And then one of the things that came up, I think I mentioned it before, we're asking the seed group, which is the amendment or amended cannabis laws, cannabis regulations, are for now a seed group, which are mainly Black, but possibly other ethnic groups that were put into jail for longer terms and treated not really with equal justice at all for marijuana use back in the 80s. I think they go back to 1980. And some of them were incarcerated a lot more than white people were. It affected their families. And so they're trying to do a equal justice program now with the seed program, where they're going to add double the amount of facilities for selling and double the amount of the facilities for growing and producing the marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it, fields, locations. And the city originally had 36. I believe that was 4 in each of the 9 districts. And then they came out and said they were going to let the demand for the different locations drive where the locations would be for the new facilities they're going to open. And they said that a lot of the demand they see in San Diego is from tourists. They want to come to San Diego and they want to add marijuana use or to their recreation. And so they see that they were thinking that there would be a lot of locations in the beach areas in downtown, because that's where so many of the tourists are. Then that got amended and nobody knows why, got amended to where they've broken it up into 3 regions. One region is north of 8, and it's supposed to have, I don't know, maybe it's a third of 36, so 12, I guess, 12 locations north of 8. And then it's supposed to have 24 locations south of 8. And we're just going, hey, time out. This is ridiculous. So, especially when they say that so much of the use is from tourists. So we're asking that the people come back to us and give us some explanations as to these differences and stuff.
Okay.
So I think we were talking about having them come here too and give us a presentation.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but we're definitely going to try and get them back to CPC and get some clarification as to these changes. A lot of people aren't happy with the emphasis especially when they're really not protecting children. Again, they're trying to get rid of the buffer zones around the schools and the churches and even the rehab places. They've tried to from what we've seen, they've completely removed the rehabilitation centers and these homeless centers, which are a lot of times dealing with drug and alcohol issues. They've removed the buffer zone from those places, so we're trying to make sure we get buffer zones back in. So we'll see.
Okay. Thanks, Laura. Before we adjourn, I just wanted, Lorna, you're online. I just wanted to say thank you. Lorna didn't run for re-election, so this is her last meeting with us. So thank you, Lorna.
Thank you, Lynn.
Family.
I
It's
might
been
be
great.
back. I'm just too busy. I can't barely survive each day now. So I had to give up something, but thank you.
Okay, thank you very
One of
much.
the problems is you're not allowed to have 2 people with the same address on our board.
Exactly. So
Oh, so I'm not
we'll
coming
have to
back
have-
anyway. Unless I move.
We'll have a discussion about that later. Because I inadvertently didn't turn off chat for tonight's meeting. I have chat on for my council meetings because it's very active, and I forget to turn it off here. And there's a lot of stuff in the chat So I'm going to print the transcript out and I'll email that out to everybody. In the interest of being transparent, everybody should know what's in there. And some other stuff about the upcoming meetings, the tour and the Rolando Community or Council meeting next week.
The order, last time we talked about our standing rules, did anybody get a chance?
I looked and
Did look, okay, awesome.
I'm not sure, but there is a chance that our standing rules got incorporated into our last version of the bylaws.
That's what I think.
So I was gonna
yeah.
go through very carefully and double check, and I just haven't done it yet. But I did look and look and look for those standing rules.
Yeah,
There's at least 3.
There were 2 or 3, yeah. I think there were 3 too, Danielle, but they might have gotten incorporated in our last version.
Okay.
Alrighty, good. Just
All right.
we're on it.
Thanks, everyone. Motion to adjourn. Second, adjourn for the evening. Thank you, everyone.
Good night all.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
And
Thanks.
No,